Hello. Good morning. So this morning, I know everyone's got their poppers ready and everyone's got their postcards and pens. I'm going to set this here. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping out of the gate. I'm going to take my shoes off, actually, because they're not that easy to walk in. And I've always found I've done my best work with my shoes off. So then we're going to go through, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about how I became disrupted and how hopefully we can do this for you today as well. So this is the naked truth of entrepreneurship. This first slide is a picture that I drew, and thanks to my mom's great ability to hold on to every single scrap of paper I ever touched, this is the original piece of artwork. And if you notice something about it, there's something kind of unusual. There are two suns in this picture, and I created this picture when I was in about kindergarten. And I took it proudly to my teacher, who then proceeded to tell me, you have to redo this. This is wrong. There are not two suns in the sky. So my little 6-year-old heart, sad, sank, walked skulking across the room. And at some point halfway across the room, I thought, well, piss on that. This picture is exceptional. It's truly sunny. And even then I knew my market. It was for my mother. So I knew she wouldn't really even care what it was that I did. But that was kind of the first moment that I recognized in myself that the more you give power to someone else to have to ask their permission to do something, the less likely it is you'll be truly successful. I went on being a little bit offside. I like to show these pictures of myself only to bring myself down a level. This first picture, I don't know if you can tell, that's my home perm my mom did. It casts a shadow on the wall behind me when you take a photograph. The second picture, I don't know, in Canada, this haircut is called a mullet. I don't know if you have them, but I started them for girls. The third one is a great photo of me when I decided to shave half of my head off, and that's about the time when my father stopped walking beside me anywhere we went. This is, I went on to do things that weren't entirely normal, and so this is when I started my construction business. I was 28 years old, and this is a business that's been relatively successful, and part of the reason that I'm here today. This is what the press makes it look like. For everyone who has ever started a business or run a business, this is what building a business looks like. This is what everyone else thinks you're doing. So what is disruption? For me, the pivotal moment, like I'd mentioned, was started here. But it was really brought into concrete effect for me when I realized that, in fact, every star is a sun, and that this is how many suns I should have drawn in my picture. And that for me, the limit was really set by this reality that it was that someone else said, you can't do that, or this is the boundary. And thankfully, I figured that out relatively young, and I stopped obeying the rules and listening to other people predominantly. That results in making a tremendous amount of mistakes on your own, but I learned from those, so I'm feeling grateful about that. So with the postcards that you have in your hands, what I want you to do is, on one side, write your own home address. So to where I would send this to you if I were going to, which is what I'm going to do. So on the one side, you write your home address. On the other side, you're going to write 3 words. The first of those words is truth. And then you're going to write a little something after that. So my truth starts with this great quote. If you want a happy ending, of course, that depends on where you stop your story. And this has been tremendously true for my life when, certainly if you spoke to anyone who was related to me or a friend of mine, they will tell you that there were many times that they thought, oh no, she's probably going to wind up never being able to pay her rent or something. But what happened for me is I barely graduated high school. And by barely, I mean I went into my principal and told him, I need a 49 on my physics exam to graduate. Just providing some information, you know, and left the room. And as it turned out, I got a 49 on my physics exam. So to this day, unspoken, I know that I actually didn't legitimately graduate high school, but I'll take it. So then I went on to apply to MBA school, and I applied to 13 schools in Canada, and I didn't get into the very worst one. That was the first no thank you letter that I got back. So I thought, well, this isn't looking good for the remaining 12. And I proceeded to get a whole lot of other skinny envelopes. And then one day I got a big fat one, and it was from the best school in our nation for MBAs. And I thought, oh yes, these people have made a tremendous mistake. And so I quickly called my dad and I said, Dad, I've saved up $70,000, but I need 30 from you today because I have to wire transfer these people this money, because by the time they realize they've made a mistake, if they're business people, and there's $100,000 in their account, they're just going to pull up an extra chair, and I'm into MBA school. And I wound up meeting the woman who let me in, and she said, oh, I remember you. I came into the room, and your application was on the top of the no pile. But I picked it up because it was so weird and abstract, and there was this colorful drawing on the cover, and I read it, and I said, I think we should let this girl in. She might do something interesting. And this was the interesting thing that happened. But what's the truth about that story really for me is the one thing that I was so tethered to in my life was all this failure. And so that's what that colorful picture was. It was on the cover of my application. And, you know, most MBA applicants say, like, I'm a really smart person, I'm well-rounded, and I'll do good things and give money back to the school. I said, I'm a huge embarrassing failure. Look at all the ways that I've failed, but yet I'm still here trying. And so that's the first thing I want to talk about with you, is that constant thing for you or your business that you're tethered to, that you have to just accept and release and move on from. I think everyone somewhere in their business has something that niggles at them, that holds them back, that you know that is your own limiting thing, whatever that is. And to truly become disruptive in whatever space you're in, that's the first thing you need to do, is to get rid of that thing that's holding you to the place that you're at. And that could be some assumptions about your industry or about yourself. But that's what I want you to write in that first line beside the word truth. Disrupted. So we're about to get into the audience participation part of this activity. If everyone could get their poppers at the ready, I will instruct you when the time is right. I'm going to pick mine up now. Don't blow them yet. So this is a question that I ask almost everyone that I work with, is, do you want to be exceptional? And without exception, everyone says yes. And then I remind them that to truly be exceptional, you must become an exception. You have to at some point decide that you are not going down the standardized path. You have to step out and say, I am an exception to this rule, and at which point that becomes quite scary. And for a lot of people, this is a disruptive moment. For some, it's not. But for me, in my industry, I'm going to give you a brief example. When the market was crashing, I've had a number of different businesses. One was in real estate, and when the market was crashing in 2008, I was putting together a $10 million deal right in October when things started to get shaky. And I thought, oh, fuck, this is over. I'm not going to piece it together. And I went to the bank, and they said no. And so then I thought, how is it that I can change my industry to be able to get this money? Because as we all know, that's pivotal to doing anything, is the financing. And what I did was I went out and got some builders, and I said, will you commit to buying some lots if I say only you can build in my neighborhood? To which they agreed. They thought that was pretty good. The monopoly model is pretty nice. And then I went and I had them sign all these contracts, and I went back to the bank. I said, would you lend me the money if I had guaranteed sales with contracts? And they said, absolutely. And what happened was I actually got a lower rate of interest than I would have got even if the market was good, by shifting and totally redefining how it was that our market was operating. And that was my most disruptive business moment that started kind of a cascading effect with everything that I now do. Again, back to that permission thing. I've stopped asking permission for what it is that I want and go ahead and creating new things. And so wherever it is for you in your business and what that thing is, the question is, how will or do you truly defy expectations? How do you actually do something that's exceptional? And a lot of businesses, quite frankly, fail at this part. This is where we fail. This is where we think, oh, my product is great, or I'm doing a tremendous job, but the truth is it's not exceptional enough to be remarkable, to be remarked upon, for people to even bother to remember you. So for the people who have the little poppers, and as we write down our disrupted piece, I'm going to count to 3, and I believe, I haven't operated the Greek version, but I think you just give it a good hard like that. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. And on 3, and then everyone can maybe say something like disrupted, all right? as loud as we can. Let's give it a little effort. It's the morning, and frankly, I was out very late, so it would be helpful to wake up. 1, 2, 3. Disrupted! Well done! Well done! Mine didn't work, but thank you everyone for yours working. Way! Okay, don't do that again out of like character, because I'm gonna have a seizure or something. Hey! So the last part is talking about our heading. And what I mean when I say that is, here's me achieving a whole lot of goals in my life. These are a tremendous number of selfies. And the truth about setting goals is that I actually think they hold us back. The truth about goals is that we love to set them, they're ambitious, but oftentimes they're not absolutely essential for success. And so these moments in our lives where we're achieving all these goals, these real selfie moments, what I want to talk about is the naked truth about it, which is the reallys. This is really me at 2:14 in the morning when I am awake in the middle of the night, worried about some goal that I set that I'm not achieving, some like infinitesimal little moment in the trajectory of myself and my business. And I think we can all relate to that as entrepreneurs. The sleeplessness, the moments where you can't fathom how it is that you're going to get over that next thing. And so the question to you is, what is it that you're doing at 2:14 in the morning? Are you actually creating some kind of solution? Are you solving something? Are you ruminating on your small goal? Or is it that you should be setting a heading? And the difference is what wakes me up. You know, those moments when you wake up in the middle of the night and you go, oh my, I've got it. And you have to write some down, get out of bed and jot it down because it's so exciting. It's the thing that's going to totally change what it is that you're doing. Or the crap that keeps you up all night because it's these small little things around your goals. And that's the last part I want you to address on your postcard is the naked truth about it is that you have some manner of goals, and those are fine. Keep them if you will. But what is your heading? What is the bigger why? What is the reason that you even bother to get up off the mat when you get knocked down? You know, 9 times out of 10, I've had more failures than I have successes, just the successes have been bigger, so people like to talk about them. So that's the final thing I want you to write down is what is it that's your heading, your why? Why are you even bothering? What is the thing that's going to get you back to sleep past all those small infinitesimal bits and pieces? What keeps you alive and what wakes you? So it's really the ABCs of it all. You know, the first thing is you have to accept whatever that truth is, that first thing, and then just kind of say to hell with it, drop it, and move on and do something that's exceptional. Be intentionally disrupted in your life and in your business. It does take intention to go out and truly change something and do something that's material and worth remarking on. And then the third is the courage to abandon your goals. It's tricky. It's along with being exceptional. The moment when you decide that I don't need to set all these small little things, I'm focusing on the much grander aspiration. And so I want to mention this because it's interesting and a little bit curious. We have a courage challenge going on. It's 10 days long, and it walks you through the steps it takes to step out of yourself and step into your business and really to step up and scale up. And so I encourage you to check it out. And with that, and with love, and naked truths from what I call my barefoot boardroom, have an exceptional time. Good day.